Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, back with another Kamihime project video. Now, this is going to end up being a Yatagarasu reprint, so there's quite a few things that you might have seen before if you've been around for a long time, but if you're a newer player, this is going to help you out. Also, keep in mind that there's going to be a final break limit weapon in this one, so you will want to get that unless you have better weapons, of course. And another very interesting thing that you should be aware of is that Yatagarasu is a decent sub-Idolin for the fact that she's one of the few in the game that can actually lower the enemy's attack power when you call her out. So it may actually be worth keeping her, especially if you got Cerberus. If you have Cerberus, definitely keep her. But anyways, advent events, you're pretty much on your own. There's no help from any other players, basically. You just go in, fight, and just go from there. Thing is, there's also a current crossover event that also functions like an advent event. Thing about that is that it's weaker than your normal advent, so I'd say if you're able to handle ultimate on that crossover event with the Grisaia series, then you should be able to handle expert on here. There's no guarantee you'll be able to handle ultimate on here. Also, this is a normal advent event as well, so it has a Ragnarok fight. So be careful with that if you're not all that strong. But anyways, the usual stuff to go after, definitely the SSR stuff, Gacha tickets. Then you eventually go after the Adon as well. If you do need them, there's soul points, there's magic jewels, there's grimoires in order to advance some of your Kamihime. That's the stuff you really want to go for. Now, there's also half elixirs too, but if you've been pulling like Gem Gacha and whatnot, it shouldn't be too hard. Now, keep this in mind that Ragnarok you cannot use more than one elixir, so you can't go spamming them. But it's recommended you're able to clear it without using one. And they even have drop lists and whatnot. There's a chance you can actually get the SSR equipment or SR, unfortunately. But there's a chance to get those from rainbow boxes. And that's from Expert, Ultimate, and possibly even Ragnarok. So keep that in mind. If you're farming for extra materials, you have to deal with this. And something else to note is that you cannot do Ragnarok unless you're at least rank 50. So yeah, keep that in mind. Also, if you're not able to clear standard, you're not getting every material, so make sure you get strong enough to clear standard at least. Speaking of which, they even have all the different types of enemy stats for different difficulties. I'm not going to go too much on the weaker ones. I'm just going to tell you that she can hit you with damage over time. It keeps saying flame prison. I think that's burn. But definitely be very careful of debuffs. And then on top of that too, she can really spike her defense when it comes to the ultimate fight, and even a Ragnarok as well. So that's something to know. Now, the biggest thing you need to know is that she has 2 orbs from Expert onward. That said, it only takes 2 turns for her to use her own burst, which I like to call nukes. Now, that's where you really have to pay attention to the raging phase and the normal phase, because raging's hitting everybody with her usually buffing herself. At least for Ultimate and Ragnarok. Expert, it won't be. And when it comes to normal, it's going to hit everybody, but also do a debuff as well. So it's going to pretty much give you curse. And then the biggest thing you really have to keep in mind too is that she honestly doesn't have that much HP. but at the same time, if that defense up goes, it can really extend the fight, so be sure to be able to clear that. They recommend Mordred, Cassiopeia, Soul, pretty much characters that can remove buffs and, in your case, remove debuffs. And keep in mind that she's fire too, so if you're using wind, you're going to take even extra damage. There's even something about that later down the line, which would be right here, in fact. Now, they do say that, now this might change depending on, how strong you really are, but this is the recommended, difficulties for the advent fights, I guess. If you're using advantage, then the fight's impossible if you don't have 18,000 at least on your character's attack power. Now, when it comes to being weak, it's 20,000, and you have to have a lot of assault the lower it is. When you hit like 30,000, you pretty much are guaranteed to be able to clear the fight, as long as you pay attention. But I'm not going over these in full detail because, like I said, there's a bit of discrepancy. But keep this one thing in mind, that you need to have these types of power levels and this type of assault, basically. So that's why I'm leaving it on the screen for a moment for people to look over. Now, Ragnarok is the biggest thing because this defense buff seems like it's going to end up being possibly a damage cut. But keep in mind that you can remove her buffs and you can remove debuffs off of you. That's the best way to go about it. In fact, if you get Cassiopeia with Vivian's EX skill, then you're good to go. Hands down. But that's her main trick, is to debuff you with a bit of damage over time. And even in some cases you can't heal too, so keep that in mind. And buff herself. So it's basically control of buffs and debuffs. Now going into what you can get, and sorry for my voice guys, I'm actually a little bit tired right now, forgot to mention that. But going over what you can get, there's the SSR gun, which was previously there. That's a large assault, but when you final break it, it also gains a small defender. This is also a gun. Now, depending on what you want, a gun grid could be actually decent for fire, because I know they're usually lacking in HP until you get some really, really strong stuff. But the fact that it comes with assault and defender, that alone is already good, and if you're going for a gun setup, you get even more defender. So there you go. Now for the other SSR weapon, it is a hammer, and this is going to give you elaborate with defender. Now again, defender can actually help your fire team. Elaborate's the tricky part because it boosts ability damage, and the only ones that really benefit from that are the ones that can actually hit extremely hard with abilities or hit often. And not too many people go for elaborate anyway, it's just there if it's there. So this is really up to you. If you're going for a hammer grid, you're definitely going to want this weapon, but you might still want stuff that's better. And the ironic thing is, a gun will give you a large amount of defender, at least a phantom gun, and the phantom hammer will give you a large amount of assault, ironically. But to me, both weapons can actually have their use. I have Severog, who can actually fire off abilities every 3 turns. Uriel, who also fires off abilities pretty frequently. And if I put it on, Herc nukes very, very hard. Elaborate actually would help this team out a little bit. I just don't want to lose my attack power, so that's why I'm not going after the hammer. I could definitely use another gun, because my fire grid doesn't have too many final break weapons, and they can always use the HP. So I'm going after the gun. But remember, the gun is easier to get than the hammer. Now, I don't really go over SR stuff too much, but there's an assault for both an axe and a glaive, and there's defender for a bow. If you're aiming for any of those setups, that might be placeholders, but you really shouldn't force a phantom weapon setup with SR, if you ask me. But they are there. Like, say you're just one away, maybe it can actually fill a gap. But if you need at least 2 of these, then I wouldn't try it. But when it comes to SSR Dolan herself, she also can up ability damage, but she also ups character attack, which is assault. So it's not going to be that much assault. A lot of event ones tend to go 40% on their increases. This one's only 30. The ability damage, so-so. But her main standing point is the fact that she gives attack down when summoned. So if you're planning on using her, that's the reason why. Other than that, she's really only fodder for Cerberus or Eidolon Orbs. So that's the thing with these events too. You can still sell SSR Eidolons you don't need for Phantom Orbs, so you should always be getting them. It's just a matter of whether you want to keep them or not. It depends on your grid and your interest, really. And the events are usually the same for the missions. It's just one different thing where it's like, okay, you have to do it with a certain element. So going over it again, clear the quest a certain amount of times. It doesn't matter which difficulty for that one, and you can do it every day. Clear different difficulties without using the elixir. If you're strong enough, you shouldn't need an elixir at all. Clear different difficulties with SR or below. Clear ultimate with R only. And the rarities don't count for your souls either, but they do count for your sub slots. So make sure your sub slots match the rarity as well, but your soul, use whoever. And the element this time, they pick up the light. That's my best team. Ultimate with light. Doesn't even matter if I use R characters, it's going to be insanely good. So since they wanted to pick light, I'm going to have a field day on that. Anybody that's seen a lot of my Kamihime project videos, I can do some damage with even my R rarity characters on light, because that grid is just that strong. So that's going to be a freebie for me. Another little bonus too is the fact that light and dark are never weak against things. And little known, they do get a bit of a damage boost against other elements. It's just very, very slight. It's a 3% elemental attack increase. It can add up when you have a lot, but when you don't have too much boosting your attack power, it's not that noticeable. But it is there. Now, speaking of light, I'm going to do a little bonus. I'm going to go and pull on this gacha. I've already added some star coins, so we're going to see what I get for these Eidolon pulls, because I'm aiming for Eidolons. I don't really care too much about SSR Kamihime right now, so I'm going to aim for Eidolons. And I've even gotten a new Kami so I can get an extra pull after I do this episode. Because I just recently pulled this one. Pandia, I think she is. I heard she's kind of good, but she's a little bit late to the party because Tower's already happened. But, hey, new Kami, free stuff. There you go. So, I'm going to grab that jewel. And this is going to be my first pull. I'm just going to throw it at the collab gacha. We'll see if I get the new one. I mean, get a collab girl or not. Apparently not, because it's not a gold door. Here's where things get interesting. I could do another one, but I'm going to do this. So it's going to be a rainbow door. I'm just curious to see what happens. I'm hoping I get something good. Orthus is a +1. I noticed that if I get a Dolan that's SR, it's always a +1. I don't know why. Okay, I got Azathoth. I don't know if I had her. Apparently I did. This is one of the ones where they're not too bad because remember how I went earlier in the video with Yatagarasu having ability damage and attack power? Well, she's got way more. In fact, this is the most character attack you'll find on any Adoan that doesn't have any special conditions. Like the Willems or eventually the Phantom Guardian Angel. They all have special conditions. This one doesn't. That is a lot of assault. But it's more Adoan orbs for me, unfortunately. And I could have did a step up, but I don't have too much faith in the step up. Especially since it's split between Kamihime and Adoans anyway. Okay, I got 2 rainbow orbs. That's not looking too bad. Oh my god! I gotta work on my Thunder team now. I sense I was going to get 100% Adoan before I did all this. I got another Huang, really? But I got a new Kami. Is this another dark one? Is Blue or dark? Yeah, she's dark. No, Kieran. Kieran. I guess they wanted me to have Thunder. This is nuts. I just have one major problem when we look at my equipment. So yeah, about Thunder, it's got the least SSR. Now, I do have some good candidates here. I have these 3. These 3 are very, very serviceable. If I want to go to buff route, I have to use her. And I think she's got a little bit of burst. If I want to go to debuff route, I gotta use her. But I have Kieran now. Well. So yeah, that happened. It may not sound like it, but I really am shocked. I had a feeling I'd pull 100% out of Dylan. I was hoping it'd be Mana. Unfortunately, I didn't get her. I got Kieran. So, yeah. And I am not messing around with this. No. Watch. Watch. I'm not screwing around. Without a doubt. Oh boy, I can also throw that Adoan break limit brick at her too, but again, Thunder's kind of lacking for me, both the grid and that Adoan's, well, not anymore, and Kamihime. But oh boy. We're even going to enhance her on screen because I'm pretty sure I got enough SR copies. Wait, is it all dark? Yeah, it's all dark. Heck, I'm not keeping her. I'm not keeping these. I got a decent amount of orbs I just got. You're going to hear a lot of clicking, sorry. Oops, don't do that. I probably didn't even need that many. It doesn't matter. So yeah, that's a thing. I bet there's people already screaming at me. So yeah, Long, you're fired. I'm going to feed Kieran that spot now. You are fired, Long. Hello, Kieran. That technically makes 3 because of her, but Oh boy, I gotta work on my Thunder team now. Okay. Anyways, that's all for this video. More of this stuff is gonna come soon. I also forgot to mention this one too. You may get your crossover stuff for Otogi pretty soon. And unfortunately, I have stopped playing Otogi, so I might log out in there to get my stuff, but I don't know how often I'll end up playing Otogi anyways. There's no guarantees on that, so sorry guys, I'm not really going to do any guides or anything on that for the time being. But I'm definitely still playing Kamihime Project. Do I have a reason to stop? But yeah. Anyways, that's all for this. More of this stuff is going to come soon, and I'll also leave a link to the Discord in a comment as well if anybody wants to join it. But until next time, guys, take care.